So hunna ummul kitab wa ukharu mutashabihatun, and there are others that are ambiguous. Mutashabihat also means they're very similar to each other. Tashabuh in Arabic is there's tashabuh between two things. The Jews said, Innal baqara tashabaha alayna. The cow is vague to us. It could be any cow. We don't understand. It's very confusing. Tashabuh also means confusion. So Allah says there are some ayat that for the human mind may even be confusing. Like what? Like alif lam mim. Like alif lam, I don't know what that is. I could try to figure it out, but I don't know in the end. Right? So Allah says there'll be those kinds of ayat too, and that's part of His wisdom too. That He left ayat inside this revelation that we may not be able to fully understand. Why not? فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ. Then as for those who have a curved, a deviation inside their hearts, فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهُ. Then they are in pursuit of what is vague in it. They become obsessed with the vague in it. They just want to know what it means. What does alif lam mim mean? What does qaf mean? Until I find out what it means, my quest is, and there's so much more to learn in the deen, but you want to go after the vague things. This is actually a really interesting form of hypocrisy, this deviation in the heart. Our deen demands from us some very practical changes in life. Some very practical changes have to be brought in your financial dealings, in your social dealings, in your ethical dealings. It demands from you some serious change. There are people who don't want to make changes in their life, but still want to distract from the fact that they don't want to change their lives. So you know what they do? They make these kinds of subjects their pet projects. Every time you try to bring up Islam, so what does seven skies mean? How about we talk about your really super haram business? No, but this seven sky business I need to understand. And what is this layer, what does layers of Jahannam mean? And what does it mean Allah rose to the throne, etc., etc. ثُمَّ اسْتَوَىٰ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. What does that mean? So people go into these subjects basically to distract from the fact that they're not obeying the very obvious commandments of Allah that are staring at them in the face. And they'd rather just talk about that stuff. You'll find these kinds of philosophical, abstract conversations among friends who are not very religious. When they do talk about Islam, they talk about that sort of stuff. Why? Because that gives the impression that they do think about Islam, and they want to keep you wrapped up in this stuff, so never does the practical element of the book ever come up. So they pursue tashabaha minhu. Ibtigha al-fitnati, in pursuit of fitna. They put themselves in fitna. They put others in fitna. How can this be revelation when alif lam mim doesn't even make any sense? We don't even know what, and so it doesn't have any meaning. How dare you say it doesn't have any meaning? This Quran is, the dhikr. Al-Quran al-Hakim is a Quran full of wisdom. Just because you don't know what it means, doesn't mean it has no meaning. That's us, that's human beings. This is Allah's word. But that attitude comes, and that's a fitna for a person. And a person tries to come up with creative interpretation and creates a trial for society, for people who do want to follow and practice the revelation. Ibtigha al-fitnati wa ibtigha ta'wilihi, and in pursuit of a new creative interpretation, so they can say, look, I figured something out ain't nobody figured out before. I'm a genuine interpreter of the Quran. So in order to be creative with the Quran, that's why. So they'll get recognition somehow. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. And no one at all, get it through your heads, no one knows certain things, their interpretation, no one can at all know them except Allah. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. And those who are deeply rooted in knowledge, those who are mature in their knowledge. Ar-rusukh is absorption. When you absorb something, people that don't just take in knowledge, they've absorbed it. They've internalized it. They've consumed it. It's become a part of them. That comes with a certain attitude. What's the attitude? يَقُولُونَ. They say, آمَنَّا بِهِ. We have come to believe in it. كُلُّ مِنْ عِنْدِ رَبِّنَا. All of it is from our Master, especially from our Master. Let's understand this attitude before we go further. How can someone deeply rooted in knowledge not be concerned about figuring everything out? The real question to ask is whether or not this is revelation. The real fundamental heart of hearts question at the center of our religion is this revelation from God or not? When that question is thoroughly answered for you, and you're convinced this is in fact revelation, then you no longer look for nitty-gritty things that if you don't figure them out, then it might not be the right religion. When that central question hasn't been answered, that this is in fact the word of Allah, then you will find, this doesn't make sense, so I don't follow. That doesn't make sense, so I don't follow. That doesn't make sense, so I don't follow. You'll find microscopic criticisms or points of interest for people. those can only be of interest to you if that central question hasn't been answered for you. Is this in fact revelation from Allah? When that is cleared, when that's squared away, then after that, whether you understand or not, you know it's from your master. It's not a concern for you whether you get it or not. You ask Allah to open the doors of wisdom, that's it. And you make sure you're not asking Allah to help you understand everything. You're making sure you ask Allah, don't make me of those who ask these stupid questions, which is an indication of what's going on in their hearts. Because Allah didn't just say people ask certain questions. He said, وَالَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ. Those who have a deviation in their hearts, say this. Those who are truly mature realize these are irrelevant questions, and therefore they will never ask them, and they want to ask Allah to never become like those who ask those questions.